What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Fourth and Long UFC 246 recap show. I am once again joined by co-host Jalen Johnson, the Bald Beast. What's up, Jalen?
How's it going?
Oh, yeah. And then I am not only joined by, we used to call him the resident MMA know-it-all. I think I might make him, give him a little promotion in his title. Fourth and Long's official UFC correspondent, Blake Campbell.
Correspondent.
How's it going,
Nice.
man?
I feel very loved right now. I appreciate the promotion, boss.
I got you, man. You know I love everyone that works for me and with me, and you deserve it. The very, very prestigious title of UFC correspondent for the Fourth and Long radio show. Congrats, Jalen. Round of applause.
Hell yeah! Now I can't wait till you start paying.
I can't wait till I start getting paid too.
Me too.
Oh man. Hey, Raid Shadow Legends, sponsor us, man. You're sponsoring everyone but us. Fuck off, man. Come on.
Pretty much, yeah.
But let's get right into things, man. Just initial reactions. I am still in absolute shock. We're not even 20. We're like 22 hours after the main event has happened, and I still don't know what the fuck to think about it.
Yeah, I can't believe how fast it went down. I mean, I thought it was going to be a first round finish, but I didn't think it was going to be a first minute finish. You know, I thought there was going to be at least an exchange, just one firefight. You know,
right? I thought there'd be punches landed by at least both people.
Right. But I mean, all respect to Connor, and he put on a hell of a performance.
Oh yeah.
There were a couple of people last night that put on a hell of a performance. I want to highlight Drew Dober. That knockout was really special.
I'm glad you
And unexpected.
That timing that he caught him with that shot, man, he just dropped him straight to his freaking knees. And I think that guy took about 10 unnecessary shots, unfortunately.
You mean super necessary?
It was over.
And then you know
Super
what?
necessary.
Another thing that really caught me off guard last night was Tim Elliott's striking defense. He tends to stick his head out with his hands completely down and egg his opponent on by screaming at them and letting them punch him in the face.
Yeah, that was an interesting way of stopping a punch. I don't know.
That was bold strategy.
Oh, and also I like to point out the Diego Ferreira's. He had a weird entrance stance. He kind of used that kind of like a Muay Thai, jumped in with the knee to kind of void off of Pettis' kicks, which I thought was really interesting the way he went about that. And I kind of want to know what his coach's thought process was on that and
That's
why
fair.
it was a big part of their game plan.
Yeah, but solid prelims. We had a main card that only had one fight go the distance. Everything else had the finish, and that's probably one of the best things you could hope for, really, while watching a card like that.
And the numbers on this card back it up. I mean, an announced attendance of 19,040 people, a live gate of 11,089,129.30. Crazy, right? Cents make a difference. And they said that was the second highest in UFC's history in Las Vegas. The only event that was higher than that, of course, was Conor versus Khabib in 2018 of October.
It always comes down to Conor. He's the moneymaker for sure.
I'm pretty sure that puts Conor at 7 of the top 10 gates of all time.
Hey, soon to be 8, depending on his next fight, but we'll get to that. Fellas, I want to move on into the prelims, at least with the Sadiq Youssef and Andre Fili fight. Blake, we had a great conversation about this. We had high expectations for this fight, and it did not disappoint at all.
No, not at all. You're right. The first minute of the fight, I think, was really the most exciting portion of it. They both came out just swinging hard, man. They both were coming out there to knock each other's heads off. It looked like Sadiq was getting the better of the exchanges, though, in the first part of the first round. Andre Fili was still tagging him. He still was getting his hits in there, but didn't look as effective as Sadiq, and it didn't look like he was landing as heavy. Now, going into the second half of that first round, Fili started mixing in some really good takedowns. He was timing Sadiq's shots really well, and it looked like he was actually starting to read him. But then again, right towards the end of the round, I believe he tried to throw a kick and gets caught and taken down to the ground, and Sadiq ends up on top, kind of ground and pounding a little bit, not doing too much damage, but he has the whole, he's on top at the end of the round, and that's big in the judge's eye. So I kind of gave round 1 to Sadiq just because of the way it ended, and I felt like it was pretty back and forth. But Sadiq just looked a little bit better. The second round, Feely you could tell he just could not escape once Sadiq got on top of him. I mean, that guy looks like just a muscle hamster, dude. Like, seriously,
muscle hamster.
He finally was able to explode off the fence, which was awesome. But at that point, it was I think it was too late into the round, and Sadiq handily won that round, unfortunately, because he didn't do too much again on top.
See, the interesting thing to me, if I can interject real quick, is that Feely was doing really well with the takedowns, but Sadiq had no defense for the takedown. But he got up. He either was able to get up quick from it, or he was able to reverse that into a favorable position for him on the ground and kind of turn that takedown against Feely.
Right. And now the interesting thing is, going into the third round, Feely really took over. I mean, he ended up switching southpaw stance and just started connecting a lot more with his left hand. He was piecing him up and really starting to find a home for all of his shots. And it made the fight really, really close. I really loved the fact that it was a 29-28 unanimous decision. I thought that was fair. I think Feely just came close, but just didn't do totally enough. And it sucks, man, because I was really rooting for that guy. But Sadiq, man, he didn't really put on the performance that I was looking for necessarily, and it's a shame that he couldn't end the fight in a better fashion. Because I was expecting that the winner of this fight, I was expecting to kind of be in that Diego Ferreira position, like fighting ranked opponents in 2020 the rest of the time. And I still don't know, like this, he beat a really talented, like both of these guys were really talented, but they still didn't have that hallmark performance where they can hang their hat on and say, look at, what I've done lately. Give me someone that is going to really challenge me now.
I got you on that one. Jalen, what did you think about this one? It kind of similar to Blake's thoughts?
Yeah, for the most part. It just really looked like Sadiq was pretty much controlling most of the fight, and Andre Feely kept having like a lot of really good moments, but it kept seeming like he was like building, and then would just drop off for like a minute. And it's like, he went from, oh, this is a really good fight, to, okay, what is he doing? And I feel like that's what ended up costing him the fight. I feel like later in the fight, he kind of picked it up a little bit more, but I feel like at that point when he had switched southpaw, it had kind of been like, that's kind of like something you probably should have thought of at the end of the first round, or so maybe like in the middle of the second round.
The case of too little, too late.
Yeah, it's just too little, too late, and it's like those are adjustments, and I don't know if it's his fault or his corner's fault, but it's kind of just like an adjustment. You kind of like, if you see, okay, I was only landing my left, okay, let me switch. Or if I'm not landing right, I can switch left. Let me try left out real quick. It's kind of like if you're going in and you can switch, you kind of, in the beginning of the fight, the first round, you kind of want to get both stances in, see which one's working. And I feel like he didn't do that until the third round, which ended up costing him the fight.
I feel that one. To me, the biggest takeaway is I was really impressed by Sadiq's grappling. Especially when he had, near the end of the first, he put Feely into a really, really dangerous Kimura, and I really thought that he was about to get the tap right there. Because that arm was behind the back, and that was in. But Feely with some great way to fight off and kind of skip that round. But solid fight. It was 100 miles an hour the whole time, and I was really impressed by both fighters.
Definitely. Both fighters put up a great fight. I think I need to see a little bit more to consider them top fighters. I know Sadiq is a great striker, and he said he did want to show off his grappling in this fight. But I think I need to see them again sometime soon. I don't think it didn't look like either of them really took too much damage. So I think they could both end up having a quick turnaround, maybe even on that March card.
I feel it. The main event of the prelims was Roxanne Modafferi and the come-up Macy Barber, someone who really has her mindset on becoming the youngest champion UFC history. But this went the exact opposite as Vegas thought, as most people analysis breaking down the fight before it happened. This almost no one actually predicted what the hell just happened. And Roxanne absolutely dismantled Macy Barber. And I was really impressed by Roxanne and really shocked about how well Roxanne did on stand-up and also on the mat as well. What do you guys think of this one?
I thought that was easily the most impressive performance of her career. And she's had a really impressive career so far. So that's really, not trying to be a dig at her at all.
Mm-hmm. No, that's all out of respect.
She doesn't look like a fighter, as everyone is quick to point out, right? So most people are always going to pin her as the underdog, but she did not look like an underdog in that fight. She took the fight to her right away, stunned her like pretty much in the first 10 seconds of the fight with a nice jab. And from that point on in the fight, I mean, Macy knew that it wasn't going to be easy. The first round, Roxanne dominated, just completely dominated every aspect of that fight. It sucks because the second round, Macy gets a little tweak in her knee, it looked like, when Roxy got her with another jab. And that was really the only disappointing part of that fight, because you hate to see a fighter get injured, but these things happen, in a contact sport,
Yeah, Macy ended up. It was weird, that jab hardly didn't really even contact, but it's just like that little tweak in the knee, and she fell down holding it. Ended up being at that time as a partial tear, but results came back today as a full tear, and that was it kind of put a damper on the fight, because it wasn't an evenly matched fight at that point. So, but I don't want that to take away anything from Roxanne. But also, I don't think we should credit this loss too much against Macy as well. Right.
It's kind of a weird place to be in, for both fighters. But Roxy took advantage of the situation, and it's not like she targeted that leg at all, which is I really respect. And she even made a point afterwards to say, I knew that her shit was fucked up and I wasn't going for it, It's
not you guys see her tweet?
Her leg. Yeah.
I did not.
Yeah, she tweeted out that she did not target that knee just because it was injured. Mm-hmm. And I respect that.
She's a really, really good girl.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
She's probably one of the nicest people in the game, damn.
Probably in the world, not just the game.
In the world.
But it was a great fight. I think I would have loved to see the fight without Macy getting injured. It was kind of
I think
a freak accident.
That one.
Yeah, it was kind of like a freak accident. It kind of looked like Modafferi had threw a shot, and it barely grazed her, and it looked like she was planting to kind of throw a counter. And it looked like she kind of planted weird, kind of sideways on her foot. Yeah. And you could see her knee kind of buckle.
Well, when that happened, I absolutely called that it was an ACL, because it always seems like it's the tiniest little movements of the knee that result in those torn ACLs. It's the weirdest thing.
And it's usually a non-contact that ends up causing ACL.
Yeah, the ACL is a piece of shit, honestly.
On ACLs. Everybody. I'm not saying that one. I need mines. I love the ACLs. Yeah, but all in all, I think it's a good fight. I think it's kind of a weird spot, as you said, because it's like you don't want to move Modafferi up too much, because she did only beat an injured Macy.
But at the same time, she deserves it, because it was
exactly.
No matter what.
And I like what she said in her post-fight interview. She said she wants to show people she's not like the gatekeeper. She's not just here for young talent to fight and try to break their way into the top 10. She wants to go for a title shot too.
I think we need to talk about the elbow that Roxanne landed in that second round.
She threw that crazily.
That was a hard right elbow. It cut open the side of Macy's head, and she was. I'm not even exaggerating. It was just a constant leak of blood from her forehead. And that match, you can see that canvas was caked in blood stains, and it was noticeable the rest of the night. It was
Definitely.
I thought they were going to get doctor stoppage between rounds. To be honest, it looked that bad.
The cut was bad, but it was in a good spot. It wasn't really in a spot that you're gonna continuously get hit in to where it gets worse. It was kind of in a spot where it's gonna be open and bleed.
On the side of her head and not really the forehead.
Yeah, it kind of looked like it was in the, I believe, top left side of her skull.
Almost on the temple.
Yeah, almost on the temple, and it wasn't really a spot. Yeah, it wasn't really a spot you get really like hit in unless like a hook and like you're aiming for it. Yeah. So I think that's why we didn't get a doctor stoppage, even though it was a lot of blood. It was kind of like in a spot to where it's like, okay, this really isn't going to get worse, and if you could stop the bleeding.
All I know,
because they did kind of stop the bleeding.
Yeah, all I know is that cut was gross.
Yeah, no, definitely. But she's a fucking trooper, a fucking warrior to get that type of cut and tear your ACL and keep fighting against somebody who's just like constant pressure. Like it wasn't just somebody who was just standing back. Like it was on her. And there was a couple of times in the fight, in the late second and third round, where I was like, okay, maybe she might be able to just take this on the ground real quick.
Yeah.
And it was like yeah, go ahead.
No, I feel it. No, carry on.
Yeah, it was just like it shows how dangerous she is. She has a torn ACL, and we all could have guessed that it was something bad the way she didn't want to stand on it. Mm-hmm. She's bleeding like crazy, and she's still gaining dominant position, getting submission attempts. She was still landing some good shots from the bottom and top, and it was just absolutely crazy. Definitely a crazy
but without
fight.
A doubt, based on betting odds, Roxanne had one of the biggest upsets in UFC history. Mm-hmm. Which is impressive as hell. Great, a lot of respect to her. Great performance by her when there's a lot of people doubting her. Macy, she's going to be back in 9 months, and she still has a chance of becoming the youngest UFC champion of all time. And I just wish all the best, speedy recovery to her, because I want to see her fight again sooner rather than later. You know.
Oh, and also it was tweeted out that one of Modafferi's fans who had placed a bet on her ended up Venmoing her $100 after they won their bet, just as a thank you.
That's awesome.
So that was great.
Yeah, man. Those are the prelims, and let's move right on into the main card. We started off with Diego Ferreira submitting Anthony Pettis via rear naked choke, 146 into round 2. I did not see this coming, and you guys didn't either, I don't think. Blake, initial thoughts from this fight?
Yeah, I thought Diego came out and looked really, really good the whole fight. He proved to me that he's ready for that next step in competition, that he's ready to start challenging some of the top people in the world. Mm-hmm. And Anthony's been at the top. He's not. I don't think he's the same championship fighter that he was back in the day. It seems like he's possibly lost a little bit of that tenacity, maybe a little bit of that, maybe desire to totally go in there and really leave it all out there. Mm-hmm. It just, I don't know, man. It seems like he's just found ways to get out of there pretty often lately.
Is Anthony fading right now? Are you watching his career come to an end?
I think it's coming to a crossroads. If not, like either he's gonna have to switch promotions or start winning.
Anthony Pettis to Bellator.
His brother just went there.
No shit.
So,
yeah, his brother just went to Bellator about middle of last year, I think.
Damn. Okay.
So I mean, and you know how close they are, but he's still a huge name, so you never know. But I mean, back to Diego. I mean, the guy just, you can tell on the ground that guy is next level. That guy. I mean, you do not want to be on the ground. He's a shark.
No, he without doubt outclassed Anthony Pettis with ground game.
And Anthony Pettis is no slouch on the ground.
No, he's not.
He's no slouch. Flip jiu-jitsu.
But Diego made Pettis look like a bum with no ground game last night. It was crazy. I was not expecting him to look that bad.
And that's why that's the reason why Diego was so excited for this fight too, is because he knew that Anthony was well respected for his jiu-jitsu, and he wanted to go out there and he wanted to submit him, and he went out there and he submitted him.
Yeah,
in great fashion.
Yeah, Blake, we were talking about this after the fight. Diego was unranked going to this matchup. Anthony Pettis was at 11. We're kind of debating, but you think kind of came to the consensus that Pettis or Diego is likely to replace Pettis at the 11th rank, or do you think there's any chance that he breaks into the top 10?
I don't think he breaks into the top 10 yet. No, I think he'll definitely be at 11 or 12.
Okay. Yeah, that's comfortable.
I think he has the right to be fighting now. Number 10 or number 8.
I think his next fight should be a top 10 matchup. He deserves it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to look at the current rankings and see like who's already got a match going on planned. But like I know like someone off the top of my head that I'd name is that Charles Oliveira guy.
Yeah,
that I think would be a sweet fight.
Definitely.
But that could probably be like the third fight on the pay-per-view or something like that.
Charles do Bronx Oliveira. I think he has a fight coming up though. I can't remember who he's fighting, but I know he's fighting soon. I want to say it's Kevin Lee.
Oh, that's right. Kevin Lee,
which is a banger.
It's going. Did that make that's on pay-per-view, right?
I can look.
I believe that's a fight night.
Oh yeah. But thought it's really good grappling skills. It was a showcase for Diego in this against a high caliber former UFC champion, and it adds a big name under his belt that Diego could add to his resume, saying that he submitted Anthony Pettis and he beat him pretty convincingly as well. It wasn't just a fluke, I don't think.
Very, very impressive win. And just to finish that prior. The Kevin Lee versus Charles Oliveira fight is on March 14th, and it is a fight night 170. It's the main event.
Thank you. Yeah, it's either going to be a high up on the main card for a pay-per-view, or it's going to be the main event of a fight night. That's going to be a banger of a show.
Yeah. So I don't know what's next for Hannah, but he definitely deserves a top-ranked opponent. Definitely in the top 10.
What's next for Anthony? Where does he go from here?
That's a good question, because what's interesting is he's another case of a fighter that is caught between 3 weight classes, kind of. He can't go back to 45 again, obviously, so that's kind of out of the picture. But 55, he's up and down, and 70, he's up and down. He's had very impressive wins at both divisions. He's been a champion at 55. Or was it 45 that he was a champion at? No, it was 55. And at 70, he's had extremely impressive wins over, or at least one win over Wonder Boy. So I think he still has a place in the UFC, at least one more chance. But the leash is definitely short now. He has to have, an impressive performance, and he has to ask himself, like, what do I want from my career? At this point, do I want to continue trying to be a champion, or do I just kind of want to go the Frankie Edgar path, kind of, and just accept that, or the cowboy path, really, and just accept like I'm not gonna be a champion again, but I want to fight for as much money as I possibly.
I think we could agree that Pettis has come to a crossroads in his career right now, and there's a couple big decisions that he's going to have to make for himself.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Moving on to the next fight, we had Brian Keller submit Odi Osborne via guillotine, 245 into just round 1. Jalen, let me get your thoughts on this one and start things off.
Yeah, it was kind of like Ode is kind of like a fan favorite. He's a school teacher from Jamaica, struggled, got into the fight game. So, everyone loves him. Man. Jamaican sensation. That's a great nickname.
He has a great personality. He's fun to watch.
Yeah, he's like a great dude. It was it was a good fight. I think it was a good fight. I think he ended up getting caught, and that guillotine, he ended up having to tap with his foot, which I think is crazy.
Brian Keller had one of the weirdest transitions into a guillotine I think I've ever seen. How he had
it's kind of
Odie in kind of like a squat, and then he was getting that guillotine in, but then he just kind of rolled onto his back and really cinched that thing in. It was impressive.
And he had
one hell of a transition.
He had Ode's arms kind of squeezed into himself. And he said that's the way he likes doing it. Kelleher said that's the way he prefers to do his guillotines, which is a rare one to see. A lot of people don't do it that way. We saw a couple of submissions that were kind of like more personally customized on this card, but that was definitely an interesting way for the fight to go. I was definitely kind of hoping for a longer fight, just so both of them could kind of show what they could do, because Brian has been out for a while coming off an injury, which he did show himself that he could do good, but it's like I don't think he got to showcase as much as would have helped his career a lot more. And Ode, it was his debut, great fighter, and he obviously also didn't get to showcase himself as much.
Yeah. Blake, what did you think, we had a little bit of conversation. What did you think about that transition that Kelleher hit to cinch in that guillotine? Or at least maybe just his grappling in general, because he got that in quick.
I thought it was necessary. I mean, he made the proper adjustments in that fight, because Ode looked like he for sure had the advantage on the feet. He looked faster. He looked like his striking was just a lot more dangerous. Kelleher is no slouch. He's fought some really tough opponents in his career. So I mean, the outcome of the fight doesn't surprise me. I don't think people were giving him enough credit, and I was surprised to see that Ode Osborne favorite going into this fight. You know, because Ode Osborne, as recent as last summer, in summer of 2019, he was fighting on Dana White's Contender Series. Kelleher has been in the UFC for a few years, so it didn't surprise me that he found an opening and attacked and executed.
Now, he going out with this fight, he's really going to start to be able to make a name for himself now. He kind of put himself on the map now, and there's a lot of fans that should be taking notice of his performances.
Well, he's at 135, so that's a deep division. We'll see what's next for him. He's going to have a step up in competition, that's for sure.
That's for
definitely, and he's going to have to avoid injury again, because he's had a lot of injury issues that have kept him out of being able to be in that top name kind of discussion.
Definitely.
Hey, best of luck to him then, because I don't want to see anyone get injured.
Definitely.
Third fight of the night was a nice heavyweight matchup. A little bit of change of pace between the first two. We had a couple of big boys going at it with Aleksei Olnik. He submitted Maurice Green 438 into the round 2 via armbar, and they were trading submissions through this one. For a heavyweight fight, there was some really good ground game.
Definitely. It was kind of weird. I think that was one of the most tired second rounds I've ever seen. Both guys were kind of just leaning on each other and then throwing punches and then grabbing each other and then
it looked like Aleksei might have been exhausted from that first round, because I think he had Maurice in a neck crank for like 2 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, it was
he's going to submit him for a solid 2 minutes, squeezing as hard as he can. You know, in one of his favorite submissions that most people in this world are going to tap to. Maurice Green was chilling. He was just punching him in the face,
right,
sitting there. But the guy's laying on top of him, so that's not resting at any point. So both those guys going into round 2 were going to be tired. We knew that. What was interesting is it was kind of your classical matchup, striker versus, a submission artist, someone that wants to take it to the ground, someone that wants to grapple. Maurice was a little bit more effective in round 2 at staying at range and landing some decent shots, but ultimately he played right into Aleksei Olnik's game, let him clinch up, let him get to the ground somehow, and I believe he tripped and threw him a couple times to get him to the ground, and at that point you could just tell he was out of his comfort zone. Olenek is just on another level compared to Green. And he was able to just kind of do as he wished there. Green had some moments on the ground where he would be able to explode, and because he's just a physical specimen, he could get out of positions that are kind of bad for him and reverse them just out of sheer will and strength. But at a certain point, he's gonna tap out. He's gonna run out of gas. He's not going to be able to escape these awful positions that Olenek is putting him in constantly.
It was like one right after another. There
was no escape.
I think he had like 5 submission attempts in just the second round. You saw him try to go for his patented Ezekiel choke a couple times in that one. He almost got him.
Yeah.
And Olnick, he's now in Olnick is now in second place in UFC history for most submission wins by heavyweight. The only with 6. The only person that is ahead of him is Randy Couture with 8.
Wow.
And also, this was his 46th overall submission win in his career, which is a damn lot of submission
wins now.
Yeah, 58 wins and like what was it, like 70 something fights?
Yeah. Now he has 58 wins, 13 losses, and 1
no contest.
No contest. Thank you. Yeah, he definitely had as we spoke about, he definitely had the knowledge and the background and the experience factor going to this one, and he kind of showcased that. Even at 42, he's still a pretty good fighter. He honestly might be able to inch. He was at 11 going to this in the heavyweight. I wonder if there's a chance he makes it into the top 10 with this one.
No, there's absolutely no chance.
Put the old man up there. Do it.
I think at most he'll move up to 10 and then be moved out very quickly.
Feed him to Francis.
If he fights top level guys with not only just the top level athleticism but also top level technique and striking, he's gonna get KO'd. It's happened before.
Put against Stipe.
Wow. Nope. Not at all.
I want to see an old man die.
Human being.
That's elderly abuse.
I want to see his ass get retired on pay-per-view. Give it to me, Dana. Just have it'd be like WWE. We can have a casket match. So when Stipe kills him, we just throw him into that. Super easy and simple.
Yep, sounds fair enough.
Impressive though. Maurice Green had a couple of triangle attempts. Those long ass legs of his 6'7" frame really helped almost sink those in. That last the last little bit of the fight, they were both fighting attempts, but Olnick finally got into the position to put him in the armbar. He was probably in that for like 20 seconds before he tapped.
Yeah, he kind of had his leg blocking, so he couldn't get a full extension on the armbar. And I don't know why, but at a certain point, he kind of just moved his leg and let him get the armbar. I don't think he did it on purpose. I think he was going to try to explode, not realizing how tired he was. And then he kind of tried to explode out and then kind of stayed there and got put into the armbar.
Yeah. It's still a good fight, though. I appreciate because a lot of times when people see heavyweights, they just want to see 2 big dudes slug it out and knock the fuck out of each other. But I really liked watching this change of pace, seemingly with a bunch of grappling, a lot of submission, defense, and offense. And it was a fun fight to me.
Definitely.
The co-main event of the evening was Holly Holm against Raquel Pennington. A rematch of something that happened 5 years ago. Yeah, I think you really summed it up right there, Blake. I appreciate that.
Are you talking about
I'm sorry, were they fighting? No, because Holly Holm won via unanimous decision with 2 judges scoring 30-27. One judge scored 29-28, which I did not understand. But I think for at least 10 minutes of this fight was just Holly Holm holding Raquel against the cage and landing a shot every now and again.
It was so frustrating to watch that fight, man. I don't understand.
I know, especially with the lead up and all the talk and finishing the fight. They barely threw anything. And it's a smart, like, don't get me wrong, it's a smart game plan by Holly, and it worked. But it's Raquel Pennington, she has so many chances to just let her hands go and try to get a finish in this fight, and she didn't. She had a whole bunch of positions where she could have just let go and just started throwing punches and try to land something. It just wasn't working, and then she just kind of gave up. Like, you could see it in her face. Like, she didn't, like, at the end of the fight, most fighters, even if they look like they got destroyed, they put their hands up, talking about they won the fight. You know, they accept it later, but most fighters go into it, and at the end of the fight, they're like, okay, I think I have a chance to win this because I executed my game plan and I did what I wanted to do. I think there's a chance I could have won this. She, immediately after the fight, knew she did nothing. And I feel like if you can do that, that means you absolutely just shit the bed in this fight. And it was, in my opinion, for Holly Holmes, it was good. That was her game plan. Proud of her. But all in all, I think this was a pretty shitty fight.
Yeah, I think even the hardcore fans, such as Blake himself, kind of irritated with this one.
The ref has to separate that, man. I can't believe that he let that happen.
Well, he separated them. He waited till the third, like with 2 minutes left to go to separate them, and then they clinched back up again.
It had to be sooner, though. He needed to be more on top of that.
I heard Joe talking on commentary that, well, 1 week talk about Joe. He thinks that there should never be a breakup or a stand up, which I disagree with, but I can see his point. And they're also speaking on that ref. I forget the name of the ref that was with that fight, but
I think it was Jason Herzog.
Thank you, Herzog. Yes, he has a track record of not breaking things up unless it gets really bad and really stale.
It was really bad last night.
Yeah, but you can't blame the ref for that one. If Holly Holm just
if neither girl wants to fight,
I don't know. Holly Holm had the game plan and she executed it. It wasn't a good win, but a win's a win, and this puts her a little closer to the title.
She got away with it. She got away with fighting the most boring fight ever. So, I mean, if you want to give her props for that, then be my
most
guest.
boring. She threw like 1 or 2 head kicks, man. You didn't like that?
Yeah, she threw a hook kick and a question mark kick.
Neither landed, but that's besides the point.
It was just she threw a lot of oblique kicks also.
Oh, the oblique kicks are some of the most exciting moves in MMA. I
don't
know what you didn't like. Like, you don't like seeing people just hug against the cage?
You gotta, dude. You're fighting.
Right?
You're trying to hurt the other person.
Oh,
I think it was a pretty exciting fight.
You're getting paid how much thousands of dollars?
Man, where's that one gif of that? Where's that one gif of that UFC fan that has "just bleed" written on his chest?
No, I'm not even saying that. I'm saying where's the competitive energy? Where's the will to win? I mean, I saw it from neither girl last night.
No,
it looked like
to be honest, though,
wanted to hurt the other one.
No, it didn't.
I think I would put it up more on. I put it more on Raquel because I feel like Holly kind of put her there, and I think she was waiting to advance.
I think Raquel has
when Raquel kind of went for like a punch or try to get aggressive, and I think she was going to plan on taking her down. But I feel like Raquel was just okay with being in the clinch, and so Holly was like, "Okay, if you want to stay here, we can stay here."
Right.
And I feel like there was more to Holly's game plan that just didn't happen. Yeah, I'm not going to blame it on Holly.
If we want that to change, it was on Raquel Pennington to get out of the clinch and be able to get some separation. Holly Holm was just doing that because she could.
From the second on, most of the clinches were engaged by Raquel. She just kept getting reversed. It wasn't really Holly engaging in the clinch.
Well, I was really confused in that third round because obviously Raquel needed to get the finish in the third round. She wanted to win. But she kept on... Herself was initiating clinches and going to the fence. I don't know.
Yeah, and then just holding it there. It wasn't like she was going for like punches.
It looked like Pennington accepted the fact that she was going to lose and just wanted to escape that fight with as little damage as possible. And that was kind of irritating to watch.
Pretty much.
But quite the drastic difference. Those 4 fights were 3 of the 4 were solid, but I don't think anything compared to maybe not what actually happened inside the octagon, but just the impact that the main event has on the entire UFC landscape in both the lightweight weight class, welterweights, and just the UFC as a whole, because we had the return of Conor McGregor against Cowboy Cerrone, legend of the sport. But Conor McGregor, man, this whole fight week, as we were getting closer to Saturday, I was getting more and more word for Cowboy because I was waiting for Conor to start doing his normal Conor shtick, you know? That's talk shit, say a bunch of things, piss people off and get in people's heads. But this was the quietest and most focused I think Conor's ever been, at least in the UFC. And that did not bode well for Cowboy, to say the least.
And you know why that was, right?
Was it because he's not drinking?
It was because Dana White had a new employee that he had brought into his team.
Yep, that's exactly what...
Oh, yeah.
And once Conor caught wind of that, once Conor knew that ex-employee at Best Buy, Samoan legend, was going to be watching over that ceremonial weigh-in, he knew he needed to be on his best behavior.
Thanks for bringing that up, Blake. For those that don't know exactly what he's talking about, I'm sure we've all seen that video that went viral, that one Best Buy employee stopping that customer from shoplifting with some really good pass protection. Some really
that
good
pass
pro,
amazing.
It was solid, some really good steel rod, and she ended up getting fired from her job, which is bullshit. But that's not here or there. That's not what we're going to discuss. What we're going to discuss is that Dana White invited her out, like all expenses paid and all that stuff. He invited her out to the fight events, and she was there during the face-off between Conor and Cowboy. And I think, yeah, Blake, to your credit, to your point, they were really well behaved.
Very well behaved.
I think they need to make her a full-time employee.
But you know,
I think she actually is a full-time employee now.
Oh no shit.
They offered her a job.
I really like that Conor was on his best behavior this week. It kind of showed a little bit of maturity, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows that he is real still. He is, if there is no bad blood, he's not going to make it there just for the show.
Well, I mean, he said himself is that leading up to this interview, he said that he wasn't doing all this, partially because he doesn't need to. He doesn't need to promote this fight more than it already is being promoted just by having him and Cowboy on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Well, his name is so huge now. Exactly. He doesn't need to pull those crazy antics anymore. The eyes are already all on him now. He just needs to be likable, right?
Well, I know it's a huge card.
Happy.
You know it's a huge card when you have every other pay-per-view. I'm watching. I'm looking at Snapchat and all that. Nothing about it. But then last night I see like 30 people with the fight on their stories. When all those kinds of casuals get into this fight like it is, that's how you know Conor is a big fucking deal to the UFC and to the entire sports world, not just MMA.
Absolutely. No one's ever questioning that, and he knows that too. And like we opened up the podcast with, you know, the gate numbers and everything. He is a freaking walking dollar sign, you know.
I'm just waiting for the pay-per-view numbers to drop next.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. That's going to be interesting.
But
I'm thinking that has a really good chance to hit 1 million.
I think so. Let's get into more breakdown. We had Conor McGregor defeating Cowboy Cerrone via TKO just 40 seconds into the first round. Before this, Conor was looking big. You saw him bask in the middle of the octagon while Bruce Buffer was announcing his name. And that looked like a fucking movie scene. I'll tell you that. Cowboy did come out look like a man on mission, but it looked, when that first happened, when they first rushed each other, mostly Conor, I thought it kind of reminded me of when Jorge knocked out Ben Askren. It almost looked exactly like that. Conor rushed out. He landed was it a knee to Cowboy and kind of bent him in half?
He didn't land a knee. He overextended on a shot. Threw a shot with his left.
Yeah, he loaded up a big left.
Cowboy went in for a takedown, and that is when Conor kind of improvised and kind of like leapt off his feet a little bit, caught him with his thigh. Didn't really do any damage or anything. They go to the clinch pretty much right away, and this is the craziest thing in the fight, in my opinion. Yeah, is when Conor starts launching off of his feet because he's the shorter fighter, right?
Yeah,
and placing his elbow right on the bridge of Cowboy's nose and onto his eye sockets, you know.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting a shoulder bump like that. But those like 2 or 3 shoulder bumps I hit, I think, was it the third one that broke Cowboy's nose?
Second one.
Yeah, it was the second one, I think. And then he
third
also
one hit him in the eye.
That looked like he broke his orbital damn near.
Yeah, his eye was swollen as hell after that fight.
Yeah, I've never seen shots like that get thrown.
Well, you hardly ever see someone use a shoulder bump, let alone break someone's nose and destroy someone's eye with the fucking shoulder bump. Conor was obviously practicing that shit a lot during camp.
Yeah, he loaded up like fucking crazy on those bumps. Those weren't just like shoulder slams.
That not only stunned the hell out of Cowboy, it stunned the hell out of everyone that was watching that. And was it after that exchange, then Conor puts Cowboy down with a head kick.
Mm-hmm.
Stuns him with the head kick, knocks him down with a shot with another hand.
Mm-hmm.
I can't
Great
remember
head
his
kick,
left
though.
Was right. The head kick was beautiful, man.
It was perfectly placed around the side of the jaw.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. And
gets him with a few follow-up shots, and the fight's over.
It's not like we could call it early stoppage.
No, he
legend, and honestly,
chance.
I think definitely the best referee in the business currently. maybe second all time. You probably got to give the best referee title to Big John McCarthy. But
Definitely.
Herb Dean gave Cowboy all the time in the world.
What are you talking about?
Let me throw up the hard hands real quick.
To the death. Exactly. He's like somebody's heart stopping tonight. That's what that means.
Fucking Mario Yamasaki. Okay. Damn it, Blake. You can't,
fucking crazy.
We can't talk about people like that on the show, man.
I don't need that negativity in my life.
I don't need a fucking... It reminds me of fucking...
I'm not in the right headspace to talk about that right now.
Man, get on the fucking tangent. You look like one of the Roman emperors during the gladiator battles. Like you about to give the thumbs up, thumbs down. Just let the fighters kill each other.
What's that? A famous Rocky quote? If he dies, he dies.
Yep.
He's dragging off the referee.
Oh man, that's not right. I'm talking, man. Whatever. But really crazy with this knockout. Conor actually becomes the first person in UFC history to have a knockout in 3 different weight classes. He has one in this featherweight, lightweight, and now welterweight. And but my biggest takeaway from this fight is, I know the argument is it's Cowboy. A lot of people think he's washed. A lot of people think he's past his prime, which does have some merit to that argument. But he was still ranked number 5, or number 6. No, he was 5, and Conor was 4. But
he was 5.
He's still a highly ranked fighter, and he's still good. He's an all-time legend, and Conor made really, really easy work of him. And all I was thinking to myself after the fight is that Conor's back, and the rest of the UFC should be almost worried if he's able to put on stuff like this.
Yeah, he put everyone on notice. I thought I was kind of pissed off a little bit after the fight. A lot of people were saying Cowboy took a dive.
Oh, don't even give me fucking. I had some dude on Twitter try to argue on that.
That was fucking crazy.
Don't disrespect. No, my biggest element is I'm gonna get on a quick tangent because that shit was pissing me. It was honestly it got on my nerves because.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm unapologetically a big Cowboy fan, not just because he's fighting, because he's the person he was. And to accuse Cowboy of taking a dive in that fight is so fucking disrespectful to Cowboy and his legacy and the person that he is. There's no way in hell that a guy like Cowboy is ever gonna take a dive in the fight. It could be he could have gotten paid off $100 million to take a dive. There's no way that Cowboy ever fucking does that. And to people think that some guy that has faced that busted up, possibly broken orbital, broken nose, he got taken to the hospital after the fight, and to think that he took a dive, that's absolutely horseshit. And it's really just unreal that people actually even think that. Sorry, tangent over. Continue.
Get upset.
Yeah. I think it's more people don't respect Conor. I think a lot of people
fucking casuals.
Yeah, it's like you cannot be in MMA. Watch MMA, whether you watch MMA, do MMA, you're in the UFC, or anywhere else in a promotion, you cannot, at this point in Conor's career, say that his entire career has been a fluke. He has ran through the best of 3 divisions now. He has gone through people. Like, not even just fought people. He has gone through people like nothing. He put Aldo out in 13 seconds, which you could say is a fluke shot. But he practiced that exact shot. Right. That shot, he was waiting for it to happen. It wasn't like he just, backed up and was like, snap, and do a punch. He practiced that literally 30 minutes before the fight happened.
Like the Jorge that Jorge knockout on Ben wasn't a fluke. He was practicing that knee in camp. The same thing for Conor.
That was a part of the game plan. And so for people even now disrespecting Cowboy because they want to disrespect Conor and say Conor's not good, or Conor's trash, or people have just been over hyping Conor's not anything, and now people are disrespecting Cowboy because they're like, there's no way Conor's beating anybody. Right. Cowboy took a dive, that's the only reason he won. It's just disrespectful at this point. It's like they're both legends of the game.
You want to get mad with us real quick?
Well, that's just what's going to happen when you're a figure like that, when you're polarizing like Conor. You're going to have people that hate him, and you're going to have people that love him. There's no in between. See, there's going to be people that give him no credit, and there's going to be people that are going to fight for until their last breath. So
there's also a lot of dumbasses on Twitter, and we've already experienced plenty of them.
There is a small population called the 1%ers that do realize, that there's a little bit of everything mixed in this world, and it's not just all black and white.
Crazy, huh? What a concept.
So yeah, I don't think that there's any credit to that theory of Cowboy taking a dive. It's just complete, like you said, horse shit. Conor came out and had an incredible performance.
It was an amazing fight.
Threw shots that nobody saw coming. I mean, who saw shoulder shots coming in that fight? That was like the...
Even Cowboy himself said he was shocked by those shots and didn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. He said he was stunned, I want to say. I can't remember.
Yeah, he said great game plan. He said he stunned me. And he's backed up and kicked me in my face, and I was like, what the fuck? So it's like...
my ass kicked that quick? God damn.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he said, too, man.
It's like
I don't understand.
He executes his... Whenever he sees the opening, he attacks, he executes. He has the next level of finishing instincts, really.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah, and another thing that pisses me off is a lot of people were saying Conor came to this fight nice because Khabib humbled him. Like, kiss my ass. I am a Conor fan, but I'm an MMA fan before anything, and Conor came out and said he has respect for Cowboy, so he's not going to come out and disrespect Cowboy because he likes everything Cowboy stands for. Also, Conor has never stepped back on his approach to people who have disrespected him. He's always the same way towards people who disrespect. Even after the fight, he came out and we kind of saw a little bit of that old Conor activity, the way he kind of acted in that post-fight interview and in the post-fight press conference.
But then he goes and hugs Grandma Cerrone.
Yeah, it's like it's
old
there.
Conor
like,
would never do that.
Yeah, it's like Conor is matured enough to where he can admit where he was wrong and stuff, but at the same time, it was good to see. I was waiting for him to do something like that because I was afraid if he just went all like 100% just nice and I'm not going to say anything, that people are going to start saying stuff like that. I like that at the end of the fight, he still showed I'm not going to take this, like, I'm not going to react to disrespect, but at the same time, I'm going to let you guys know. If you disrespect me, I will speak out on it and I will act.
I think the main thing is he's getting back to his old ways of being extremely calculated. And that's what he needs to do. Because with Khabib, he wasn't being calculated. There was no calculations with him.
It was just violence.
It was complete action. It was complete, I hate you. I'm going to do everything I can to tarnish your name and your legacy and beat your ass. And
it was personal. He took it way too personal.
It can't be that simple. With that, you use up too much energy, right? Like, there's still an actual physical fight you have to go through. And not only that, but this guy is top skill level in a discipline that you're not necessarily the best at.
Exactly.
So he wasn't really using his, full capacity, so to say, to really put himself in the best position to win that fight. Now I think he understands that. He's getting back to where he realizes, okay, this is exactly what I need to do to win these fights for whatever opponent he has in front of him, and he's gonna knock that out anytime. He's gonna get that list written down. He's gonna check every box, and I think as long as he does that, he's gonna have a chance against Khabib.
Definitely. And you can also see, like, in the Khabib fight, the way he looked, like his hair and the mustache, he looked like he had been unkept. Like, usually Conor, when he comes in, he looks like, even this one, he had the full beard and the hair was grown out, but it was still slicked back. The beard looked groomed. If you look back at the Khabib fight, he looked like he just came off the street, put some stuff on, and was like, let's fucking go. And then, like, also, like, the billionaire strut he does. You could tell when he did it in the Khabib fight compared to when he's done it before. It was just like it was off. Like,
see, all I know is that if we can say one thing is that a focused Conor McGregor is something that the UFC and all the fighters should be worried about.
No, definitely. The Irish have come back.
I mean, I think that's kind of a Blake, please.
Well, I was just going to lead us into how special of a position that Conor's in.
Perfect. I love the transition. We're on the same page right there then. Hell yeah, dude. See, I know you earned that UFC correspondent title. There you go, man.
You know what I'm saying? You don't see every day a fighter has 7 fights on the table.
Right.
As an option. Let's just run through these really quick. I'm just going to list them off and we can go into detail afterwards.
Yep.
So here we go. Conor versus Jorge Masvidal. Conor versus Nate Diaz trilogy. Conor versus Khabib or Ferguson, whoever wins that fight. Conor versus Justin Gaethje, if for a quick turnaround, that's what I would love.
Yeah.
Conor versus Kamaru Usman for the welterweight title. And then, of course, Pacquiao and Mayweather are chirping again. Look at that, man. I mean, how many And that's just the people that, are actually viable options. That's not even the list of everyone that's probably calling them out.
Like
Those are
don't forget about Paul Felder.
Paul Felder.
Yeah.
He said he was right at the table.
Connor mentioned him too. I forgot about that. So I mean, we really could list that one as well. But I don't think that's.
But okay. So if you can choose out of these, out of the fights you just listed, which fight do you think maybe makes the most sense to you, or which fight do you want to see the most?
So, in my opinion, I think that there's two. I think first and foremost, a choice has to be made. Is he going for the 170 or is he going for the 155?
And
if he's going for the 155,
do you think he has to? So just real quick, so I can interrupt you now. Do you think his next fight with his next fight he has to choose whether he's going to fight a 170 pounder and stay at 170 then, or does he have to choose to fight a 155 pounder and stay at that 155?
I think it all just depends on his end goal. Like if his end goal is the rematch with Khabib, then my personal choice, I would love to see him fight Gaethje in March, right around St. Patrick's Day. Get him in an arena somewhere.
Oh my fuck!
Fucking fill that place up, and let's see who knocks who out.
Like,
and
put around St. Patrick's Day, put him in the United Center in Chicago, Illinois.
Ooh.
That would be sweet.
Chicago is known for their crazy fan base, and
definitely
that shit would pop.
Now let's say if he goes the other route, right? Like if he goes 170, he wants to challenge Usman, which I think is likely. And even Dana has said he's not super a big fanboy of him at 170.
No.
I would love to see either that Nate Diaz trilogy or of course the BMF title be up for grabs again with Jorge Masvidal.
I want to see Conor. The fight I was calling for after the finish last night is I was really impressed by Conor, and it looks like he might be able to fight against the bigger fighters. And I really want to see Conor versus Jorge, but not for the BMF. I want that to be a one-time thing.
Yeah.
But I think if him and Jorge fought, he'd have to put the BMF on the line for Conor to agree to it.
Oh yeah. That's right. Like I totally forgot. We're talking about Conor, and we have to do everything for him to be able to agree to a fight.
There's no.
What was that meme that went on for a while? Give me your belt. Give me your belt.
Like with Gaethje, it makes sense because he hasn't fought at 155.
Straight cap.
It would give him a fight at 155. He's fighting a top contender, so then everyone can even fall back on. Oh, he came back. He not only beat Cowboy at 170, but he went back and fought a top contender, who's I want to say a top 3, top 4 ranked guy.
Yeah,
and beat him as well. And now he gets to fight Khabib. I think that would be a really appropriate route to take, and that would be an entertaining fight for sure.
What do you guys think? Would it be more is a fan and kind of analysis perspective? Would it be more impressive to you if Conor stayed at 170 and beat 170-pound fighters, or if he was able to take this win at 170 and go back down to 155 and start to dominate 155 again?
I think either route he goes is impressive. I mean, he's fighting killers either way. Jorge's
two stacked
the top 5 in either division are monsters.
Fight. Usman is a ridiculous fight. Gaethje's a ridiculous fight. Ferguson and Khabib are ridiculous fights. All of them are crazy. So it just depends what route does he want to go. And I think we all know Khabib is the route that everyone wants to go. That's the money. That's where the money is at.
That's exactly what Dana was saying. Because after the fight, Dana stood strong to him wanting to book Conor versus Khabib. I kind of feel a little annoyed because it feels like Dana's disrespecting Ferguson by not even saying Khabib or Ferguson.
Well, he
saying
did
the
say
Khabib rematch.
because somebody asked that question. There said, kind of seems like you're overlooking Ferguson. What if Ferguson wins? And he was like, no, I said that. He said the winner of Khabib and Ferguson. But I think he
Yes.
kind of got into the quick talking of it and kept like just shortening it from Habib and Ferguson to just Habib,
Dana
because the
does
main
that.
thing is you want Habib to win because you want Conor to go at him again.
Yeah,
You don't
they're in a
want
tough
Habib and
spot
Conor
with
fighting
this
if there's no
Khabib Ferguson
belt.
fight for 249, huh?
Yeah, but I mean,
it's kind of like you kind of want one of them to drop out at this point.
well, Connor has even come out and said too that he respects Tony's skill set and thinks that would be a very interesting fight for him as well.
Ferguson is a fucking killer. We can talk about this when the time comes, but I'm just going to say right now, I think Ferguson is the only man in the world with a chance of actually beating Khabib. And if Ferguson doesn't win it on April 18th, I don't think anyone will ever beat Khabib.
I don't know. This new Conor looks.
But
Focus.
new Conor, I think this is a brand new era in the terms of Conor McGregor's MMA career. I think this is a brand new version of him. And I don't think we've ever seen Conor like this before.
He's like calm but violent.
Yep.
I really hope he stays true to his word, and this is the beginning of the season of 2020 for him. I want to see him fight 2 more times this year at least.
Yes.
I want to see him fight 4 times, but I want at least one of them to be boxing, to be honest.
Fuck off.
No,
well,
I don't
he
care
did
about
say he
boxing.
wants to fight for a boxing belt. Fucking.
I want to see I want to see the Gaethje fight. I want to see Habib fight, but I also do want to see a boxing fight this year, because the Mayweather fight, I think he looked really good until those kind of later rounds where he looked kind of tired. I kind of want to see if he can do it.
All
to
I
be
know
honest,
is that Dana, in my opinion, Dana, please give me Conor versus Jorge, so Jorge can make his big money fight, so he can have his red panty fight, and so Conor can see it, because it'd be a legitimate matchup, and I honestly don't know who I'd pick to win that fight right now if I had to choose. You guys, man, but my fight to make is Conor versus Jorge. Is your guys' fight to make? What are you more into then?
me.
Into
Go ahead.
Gaethje at Gaethje around March.
You want Conor and Gaethje 55?
Yep.
Jalen.
Because Gaethje in early March, he's still good to go for Khabib.
I mean,
Yeah,
Conor
I'm definitely thinking that.
the Cowboy didn't land a punch, so Conor's still healthy. He's fine.
Yeah, and he didn't have to weight cut, so he can make that fight. They can pretty much book it tomorrow.
Right.
And Conor said he's back in the gym tomorrow, so.
Shit, but all I know is that was absolutely one hell of a night when it came to fighting. I was shocked. I was speechless after that main event. I felt really bad for Cowboy, but at the same time, he's still a legend, and he could lose 10 fights in a row, and I still think that his legacy wouldn't be tarnished. There's a lot that can happen coming off this Conor win. This just opens so many doors to so many different fights and matchups, and that's really exciting as an MMA fan. And you guys got any final thoughts on this card?
No, that pretty much wraps it up for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like this is a great way to start the year off, because now you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to get booked because of this. You don't know what's going to happen at all.
All I know is that we need to stay tuned the next week or so to the Twitter and every other social media of UFC, because there's probably going to be something posted big time. Hopefully a good fight announcement. But that is our kind of recap and analysis of 246. Just real quick, there's a card on Saturday that we want to just briefly discuss. ESPN Fight Night on January 25th. The main event is Curtis Blades versus Junior Dos Santos. Big time heavyweight ranking implications. How do you guys think this one's going to go?
I think Junior Dos Santos has a good chance of knocking him out on the feet, but Curtis Blades is definitely looking to take this one to the ground, and as we saw him do against Overeem,
I still remember that was the first UFC fight. I was over at your place, Blake. That was like the first full UFC fight I've ever watched, and there was blood everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he can fuck someone up fast. He's not just a lay and pray. He's a lay and smash and destroy.
Blades is no joke when it comes to his elbows.
Not at all.
But I'm giving the early edge to Junior Dos Santos just because he's champion level, and he's been there and done that.
All right, I like it. Jalen, give me your prediction real quick.
I think Blades is going to end up catching him. I think he's going to get a takedown early. Fight's going to get not stood up, but they're going to stand up again. I think Blades is going to hit him with the overhand and drop him, and then ground and pound him to end the fight. But I think Blades takes this one, and then I would like to see the winner of this fight, if the winner of the Rosenstrike versus Ngannou fight, if they don't get a title shot, I would like to see the winner of this fight go against the winner of that fight.
I like it. Give me Francis Ngannou once he wins. Give me Francis Ngannou against Aleksei Olenek, like I said earlier, so you can put him down one last time.
Yeah, no, let's not do that. That's not nice.
Man, but thank you guys so much for joining us on this recap of we could say it was the biggest card of the year so far. I don't think anyone could argue against that.
You can't.
But it's going to have big time implications, big time matchups, big time storylines, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for this. Thank you, Jalen, for joining me as usual, and thank you so much to Blake, the Fourth and Long podcast UFC correspondent.
Hell yeah, man! Thanks for having me.
No problem.
Great job on the promotion.
Got you. That still means nothing. It's just a name. You're not going to get a bonus in your pay, just to let you know.
I mean, technically, you can get a bonus. My pay right now is 1 penny a year.
Wow. You make more than me. What the fuck?
Yeah. I get 1 penny a year. I kind of just 1 day a year. I go out and I look for a good penny on the ground. If I see a quarter, I don't grab it because that's out of our budget. But I look for a good penny on the ground.
I fucking hate
shiny
you guys.
Ones.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Fourth Long Radio, capital F, capital L, capital R. Also on Instagram at Fourth and Long Radio with a number 4 TH and Long Radio. A lot of banter, a lot of discussions. We're almost a million impressions over this 28-day period. Pretty nice. You guys should check that shit out. Just thank you once again for watching. Please like and subscribe. It really means a lot to us. Any support is really appreciated. And we will catch you guys in the preview show for UFC 247.
Hell yeah.